You guys, thank you for coming. Oh my God, I'm just like, I could cry right now. I've had this dream of bringing women together forever. And I just found this article. I was looking for it because I couldn't find my thing, but I wrote this article in 2001. I was a lot younger, about shattering the glass ceiling. I don't know if you remember, Nimi. I brought these people together called Women Future. And I've just always felt like women have supported me. And I've felt that there's a lot of people that say women don't support women, and I have not felt that hardly ever in my career. And I'm just here to support you all and to create a community. And I think there's just so many things that we can learn and share with each other, and just be stronger. And it's just, I love people, and I love that all these folks are meeting each other. I was thinking too, I was just putting this together a long time ago before people had like manifestos. I didn't know what that was. But I was a young mom. I had 3 little kids. Our house looked like this. So this is the house you're in. Okay, and that's Aaron. So, and I wasn't working at the time, and we were really struggling. And I was sitting at the kitchen table, which was not that kitchen. The kitchen was this big, and I wrote down, what do I want out of my life? And I was, at the time, 35. And I said, I want kids who love each other. I want a clean and happy home. Clean, as you can imagine. I said, I want to stay married, which, I was in a happy marriage. I don't know why I put stay married, but I wrote that down.
Well, it's a 50-50 chance.
Some of you guys might know where I'm coming from. Some days you're like, it would be better to. And then the 4th one was, because we were really struggling at the time, contribute to the family income. Mm-hmm. And then number 5 was contribute to my community. And I've done those things, And so I just think it's important to put yourself out there and state some of those things and just kind of, moving forward. And so anyway, I've met so many cool women, and one of them that I met a long time ago was my friend here, Linda Favero. I was working at OPB, and I was marketing and, my job? Marketing strategic planning leader at the time, and she was repping a law firm, and she was a law firm marketing executive. But since that time, I got to know her when I worked at University of Portland. She has really grown her career, gotten lots of education. She's going to talk a little bit about that. So now, Linda, we're going to turn to you.
Okay.
And we're going to talk a little bit about her story and how she got to where she is right now. I think I hold her up in a very high regard as someone who is just an amazing person in every regard of your life. She's so solid. She really knows what she's doing with her life, has been very purposeful about it. So why don't you tell a little bit about, how you got to your Oregon whole status, the 4th generation,
Okay.
and just, tell a little bit about your family. And
right. Yeah. Thank you, Lori, and thank you so much for inviting me. I'm very touched and honored to be your first guest on what I think will be a fabulous journey for you and for all of you to enjoy. So, we're just going to have a little chat. We're going to go a little back and forth, and we also want you to feel like if you want to chime in or ask something, we want it to feel comfortable and casual. So that's what we're shooting for today. So just a little bit of my background. I'm a 4th generation Oregonian, actually Portlander. Today I was cleaning up the streets with We Believe in Portland. I'm part of the Multnomah Athletic Foundation and the Mat Club, so we had a team and we walked the streets, and I care about this place a lot. So went to school here, went to Wilson, now known as Wells, and then went to U of O for undergrad, and UP for my graduate work. I got to go there for free because I'm married to a professor there. There's a couple people that know him. So my husband's a professor at University of Portland. We will be, 35 years in July that we've been married. We have 2 sons. We have Ryan, who is 31. He lives here in Portland. And he told me he went shopping for rings with his girlfriend last week. When you have 2 boys, you get really excited to have extra things. So we probably shouldn't post that. I don't know. This is live stream. Yeah. And then he went to school in California, but he's been up here since then, and he works at Nike. And then I have a 28, Terry always tease me, I say I a lot. We have a son, Colin, who's in New York, and he's 28, and he is very single, if anyone is moving to New York. He's in the music business there. So that's a little bit about my background.
And tell a little bit, well, we're going to go into a lot about her work, but I think she is a professional coach and has just an incredible, I think, way of going about that. If many of us have worked with coaches throughout our lives, but that her intention is so different, I think. And so why don't you tell a little bit about your work and how you got there and, what is OIP? Yeah. Can't hear me?
Music.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's,
Yep, okay. I have a women's power music going, but yeah, okay, there we go. Thank you for that. Okay, perfect. All right, is it over? Do you hear it? Okay, sorry about that. Thank you, Lynn. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
So about 5.5 years ago, I'll get into a little bit later how I got there. But right now what I've been doing, I have a firm called OI Develop. So I'm a coach where organizations bring me in to coach their leaders and their executives. I primarily work in the sectors of nonprofit, education, government agencies, and professional services, because that's really where I have worked in my career. So I'm 58 years old, so I've been working since I was 21. So that's kind of the span of the industries. I got into it because I worked at the U of O for 10 years. I ran the Alumni Career Services program there. And so I started out just doing career transitions. I shouldn't use the word just. I always coach my people, don't use the word just, but I just, anyway. So I was doing a lot of career transition, and somebody said, you really should get a certification in coaching. And I said, well, I've been coaching for 10 years, and I did that a lot in the law firms for the individuals. They said, no, you really need to do this program called New Ventures West. So it's out of the Bay Area. It was we actually Zoomed it all, but doing that program really was a transformational experience for me. I changed a lot. So my coaching changed a lot. So from going at what we call kind of this horizontal, it really became a vertical experience where I really care about the whole person. It's a holistic way to coach people where I'm looking at the mind, the body, and the soul, and knowing that our work and our lives are integrated and we learn a lot from that. And sometimes when we separate them, we're missing out on the great qualities of what those are. And so many times people will come to me and they think it's this leadership issue or a career transition issue, and that's where we start. But what I try to do is help them find their true essence of who they are. What are those qualities that maybe have not been tapped in a while? Because I do believe that the answers are all within you. It's really just about asking the question that can bring it out. And that's the joy that I get to do when I meet with people.
Yeah, and I'm actually working with her right now. And like I said, I've worked with people over the years, and I'm in a pretty big transition myself. I don't want to cry, but I will, because I became a widow 4.5 years ago, and I'm figuring out who I am. And so at the very beginning, it was like, who am I in the world without Mike? We were married for 35 years. This would be our 40th wedding anniversary coming up. And you know what? I'm finding out I'm somebody without Mike, and it's taking me some time to do it. And I, a lot of the things that you do as a couple, and we had a really happy marriage, are really, you're working as a team. And now I'm a lone player. So it's been really a great process, I think. And also in our lives, we have just different inflection points where things that were really important to us now before really aren't. And so one of the things I wanted to talk about with all of you guys in so many different age brackets too is just, and one of the things that why I want women to get together is just to realize that this is a long process. This is a long journey, and so just something is really upsetting you right now, maybe in a few years, you're not even going to remember that thing, So I think I want to open everybody up to thinking about, where you do want to go, and maybe that isn't such a big deal. Can you get over that? And so one of the things I was really impressed with Linda is she's had several pivotal moments in her life that have really caused her to really take stock in where she is and make some changes or really reevaluate her course. And I think sometimes we don't do that, and I'm guilty of that too, just kind of plugging along. So I was wondering if you could share some of those with the team here.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So I make a joke that these pivotal moments happen to be hospital moments. And part of why I share this is to help people not get to the hospital moments. But these were all hospital moments. But again, we have a lot of suffering, right? That's kind of part of life is suffering. And then what do we do with that suffering? And so after each one of these suffering moments, I did take some time to reflect. So, and this is going to help us weave in my career journey because this is what helped those shifts happen. Come on in. Hi.
This is Amy Varga.
Hi. So the first one was, we call it the Favero Y2K. So this is 2000, the year that I met Lori. Yeah. But things weren't going so well for me. My marriage was not doing well. Fortunately, we made it through that, obviously, if it's 35 years. I wasn't, yeah, stay married. Good thing I did. Took a lot of therapy, but we stayed married. I actually think our marriage is better because we had to do all that therapy and because we were in such a bad spot. I think it's much better now. I can't imagine. Anyway, so I digress. So my work was really bad. I was not happy. We were doing a massive remodel of the whole house. The kids were like 6 and 3. And I ended up in the hospital with some sort of a infectious disease that they still couldn't name what it was. I actually went to the infectious disease specialist and said, what did I have? They said, Linda, the thing is, there's so many things out there. I only know the ones that'll kill you. And this one didn't kill you. So that caused me to, okay, I gotta make some shifts here. So one of the things in my career, so that shifted me to a different law firm. So I had been talking to Perkins for a while, and but either I was pregnant or something was happening, and so I'm like, okay, I can make a move. So I'm a very cautious person, even though if I look at my thread, I've started everything I've ever done, so I'm very entrepreneurial, but I'm cautious. In fact, my mom would tell the story of I would be on the front lawn, and I would be on the blanket, and she could walk away, and I would not leave that blanket. So I'm a cautious person, and I'm a loyal person, and it's hard for me to make those moves. I think that's why I kind of get stuck sometimes in my career. Anyway, went to Perkins, had a great career there for about 6 years, and then my mom, on her 60th birthday, was diagnosed with cancer and died 5 months later. I was very close to my mom. And it was hard to know how to work through that. But once they told me that she had 2 weeks to live, that's when I took my leave and I helped her die well. And then, of course, then I had to plan the service because my dad was still in denial. They had a very good marriage. And then I got sick. Not in the hospital this time, but the hospital part is my mom in the hospital. So I came back and the firm was kind of like, where's Happy Linda? I'm like, well, what the? I just buried my mother, and you guys were all at the service, and you knew that, right? And so I'm like, okay, I need to make a move. What is that move going to be? So I'm looking at my Oregon Quarterly. I worked at the Career Center at U of O when I was a senior. My boss was still there, and they were looking to create this Alumni Career Services program at the U of O, and I said, oh, that sounds fun. I think I could do that, because I was in law firms for 18 years. I didn't know what I was going to do. It's what I always did. I couldn't even get my brain thinking about something new. And then so I went and met with her. Deb knew I was really close to my mom. It was right after this is like maybe 2 months after my mom died. And she said, well, I'd love to hire you, but you have to have a master's degree to work in higher ed. So my husband had been bugging me, you can get this free degree at UP. Why don't you? I'm like, and when would I do that when I'm working in these 2 little kids? But that was the impetus. Okay, now I have my goal. So I left Perkins. I went to school for 3 years because you can only take 2 classes at a time if you're married to the faculty. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so I finished my graduate school, and then I started the program at U of O, and I created the Alumni Career Services program. So that was great, and then I needed a shift. After about 10 years, again, it was hard to leave. I loved my boss. I loved U of O. Did management consulting for about 1.5 years. Never made that kind of money. I was like, wow. My boys were so impressed that their mom made all this money, and I was like, how about that? I came home crying almost every single day at that job. My friends were like, where did Linda go? And I was miserable. And I was like, I gotta do it for 2 years. I have to do it for 2 years. I feel like such a quitter. And so what happened was, I was about a block from my house, and the whole left side of my body went numb. And I thought I was having a stroke. And so I called Terry. I was like this because my tongue wasn't working. And so anyway, they came and they took me to the hospital. And again, there was nothing wrong with me. And I think two of my theories, I had lots of tests for about a month. Two of my theories was, one, it was a panic attack. And now that we're reading so much about menopause, I probably was going through menopause because I was 51 years old. And now they're saying that a lot of you can have all this anxiety. I was having all these imposter moments. And I was like, where is this coming from? This does not feel like me. So I'd had in the back of my head that I wanted to leave, and that's when I started my firm. But starting your firm is hard. I love it, but you can have a lot of imposter moments, like, am I really doing this? Do people really find value in this? How important is this? And one of my practices, I learned a lot of practices when I went through my program. So now I meditate, I journal, I read. I have a very different outlook on how I spend my time. And one of my practices is I'm a runner. And back in the day when the iPods always ran out, if it ran out, then that was my run with nothing in, and I'm just supposed to think. So I was having one of those kind of crisis moments, like, am I doing the right thing? 2 hours later, I was down in the Pearl doing some shopping, and I got hit by somebody who'd fallen asleep at a car going 60 miles an hour. They said I had a 0.009% chance of living. And I made the news, there's photos, there's footage. Actually, there's some of it's in the newsletter because tomorrow will be 2 years since the crash, and I settled my case last week. So that was kind of my answer, like, yeah, this is what you're supposed to do. To survive something like that, that was my sign that this is what I'm supposed to do. And I just doubled down. And those are my pivotal moments, and that's why I'm here today, and I'm really grateful for the work that I get to do and the people I get to work with.
What do you think it was that made you really make those changes? I mean, was Terry a big supporter, or was it all coming from you, friends? I mean, what was the encouragement?
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, there was a lot of support from friends, a lot of support from Terry. I think my faith contributed to it as well. So, I mean, again, it's that mind, body, spirit. It's everything kind of like, it's time to make that move. Yeah. But dramatic? Really? It's kind of embarrassing. It's like, are you an attention seeker? No, not really.
Didn't want to be on the news for that.
Did not want to be on the news for that, yeah.
All right, well, I think everybody here has probably been through something pretty major. I've been looking around the room at some folks that I've seen, and I think it's really important to take stock at those moments to make sure that you are living authentically into what your future can be. And I've done that a lot myself, just thinking, am I still supposed to be marching along the same path? But that's why I'm doing some things like this, because I just feel like there's something more out there for me. I don't know what it is yet, but if I'm just doing the same thing all the time, I'm not going to find that what's new and what's exciting and what will take me to that next thing that I'm missing, right now. So thank you for sharing all that. When I met you again at University of Portland, you were doing a lot of research for your master's program about different generations, and that's another thing that I think is so interesting. They say you might have told me this, that this is the time where there's more generations working together than ever before, because I'm a boomer, at the end of the boomer, but the World War II people, what do they call the greatest generation? They were mostly not working once I started. I was working with older boomers, and now we're with millennials, and Tracy, I think you've done some work on this too. So just wondering if you could share some of the research that you have. And yeah, it's so interesting.
So I started in 2005 at UP. We were in class together. And so it was a blend of a communication and an MBA, so they don't have it anymore, do they, Dina? But it was a great program. It was management communication, and so it was a blend of organizational comm and then 4 classes in the MBA program. So one of the best pieces of advice I got from one of the communication professors is, if you can come up with a topic at the beginning of your program and take that through your 3 years here, that'll set you up for just really understanding the research in a deep way. And so the first challenge was, okay, go back to your organization and identify a communication problem. And then come back to that. So I was doing marketing in law firms at the time, and I was just trying to be that little observer. What's going on here? And in marketing, so I'm working a lot with the senior leadership, but I'm also working with the young associates and helping them to build their practice. And what I was finding is that a lot of the older people were coming to me, the boomers, and complaining about the younger ones. And they're like, they're not working as hard. They're not coming in on the weekends. And then I'm, friends with a lot of the younger people. Like, okay, how am I going to be partner when I'm trying to have a family right now? And they expect me to do all of this. So, what my research. So I did a lot of research for 3 years, and I actually got published in the Journal of Business Communication, which was really fun. And I had 2 themes that came across. My title was. Different generations' interpretation of work-life balance. And it was a feminist perspective. So it was all women that I had interviewed and surveyed, and it was mostly qualitative ethnographic research that I had done. And there were 2 main themes that came through is this issue of paying your dues and this issue of FaceTime were the main themes that were happening. But what I did is I brought people together in my home of the different generations. And my husband's a really good cook. And so he would cook for everybody. And then I would bring these different generations together. And what I discovered is that when these generations were talking to each other and helping them understand the why behind why they felt the way they did, there was so much more understanding and compassion for why that was. And for the younger generation to say to the older generations, thank you for paving this way for us. Thank you that we get to have choices that you didn't have. And then the older generations could say, yeah, I'm glad that we did that because I want that for my kids too. And getting people to focus on it's the product and not the process of being there. Look at the work. Why do you have to look at me being here all the time? So anyway, it was a great journey.
Before working at home and everything else.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Before COVID.
Yeah. So at that time, there were still 4 to 5 generations. People do forget that. There were still the same amount of generations working at that time as there are now.
And so are you continuing to do research and doing things like that with the
I
current
read
job that
about
you
it.
have?
There's a lot of books. So I do workshops for my corporate clients. That's one thing about, when I do some coaching and I'm learning that as I have these clients longer term, I need to think about what's the next value add for these guys. Okay, I could do that workshop for them. So I do tend to do multi-generational workshops for my clients. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting because I've got, a lot of you guys know that I have 4 kids and they range in age from 37 to 26. And so just seeing how they work and, they're all obviously very unique individuals to each other, but, it's been interesting just to see the changes and also how much is still really hard. Just daycare and, it's quality time is still a big value. You cannot, quantity time too. I'm saying quantity and quality time. It's just you can't replace the hours that you have with them. So I know how hard it is and the juggling that a lot of you guys are doing. And we were doing it too. It was almost worse because we had no flexibility at all. Like you had to be, I remember people just saying, how are you getting here at 8:20? I've already worked like 6 hours. Made 2 meals, did laundry, So anyway, it's just, but a lot of that is still going on. There's just a lot of work to do,
Well, I was fortunate. When I started to have kids, I asked to go 75%. And they're like, you can't do your job 75%. And I said, well, let's just test it for like 6 months and see what happens. So raising my kids, I always work 75% of the time. So, yeah. You figure, and I got the same amount of work done, right? Because it's about the product, not the process.
One of the things I've been focusing on a lot is just feeling stuck, trying to move forward. And so, in your coaching, how do you advise people, like if they're feeling stuck? What does that even mean? And then how do you advise them to kind of move forward?
You end up in the hospital. That'll help. Well, I like to really start with, again, I think I mentioned before, I really believe that you do kind of have the answers within you. And so I like to start asking questions about, well, what brings you joy? Or when do you feel like you're in flow? Or when you felt stuck before, let's look back. Sometimes we don't really take a lot of time to reflect on our past. So have there been other moments where you've been stuck, and what did you see that you did? What did you notice about yourself? So those are some of the questions that I like to pose to them. Mm-hmm. And then I really do believe that if people are willing to take the time to do some meditation or prayer or reflection, that's when you really start to find out, okay, what was a good day? What was a bad day? How can I get out of this? And then just talking to people. Lori was very sweet. She asked to forward my newsletter, but this is my new little aha with my clients is asking for advice. People do love to talk. And they love to share their advice. So, I mean, if you are feeling stuck, reach out to people, and ask them how they've done it. I'm sure they'll tell your story.
I think one of the really best things that you do when you're working though with people is she doesn't tell you what to do. She asks you more questions, and then you start. And I actually tape our conversations because I want to hear myself back, and I'm like, oh, okay, I can tell just the way that I answered that, what I'm actually really thinking. And so I just think that's really a good reflection as you're trying to really work on yourself and figure out where it is you want to go from here. But I feel like there's a lot of people that feel like, oh gosh, I'm just so stuck in a groove and I can't get out of it, and what can I do to recharge? So I think those are really good.
Do you want to ask if there anybody else
Yeah,
out
does
here
anybody
has
else have-
thoughts on how they like to get unstuck?
Or if they're feeling stuck, why?
I feel like there's a capacity issue for me at times. Like I have a full-time career, I have 3 kids. I think about getting unstuck, and then I'm like, well, I gotta make lunch, and I have to get kids to T-ball or whatever it is there too. And so it's just, my question would be, are there tips for how to think about that when you already feel like you're at 110% all of the time?
Yeah. Yeah, I know, because it's really hard to find those moments where you just have some time to yourself to actually even
Or you
think.
get time to yourself and you want to look at your phone.
Yeah,
I don't want to think deeply. I want to not think at all.
Well, what do other people here think? What would you say to Jamie?
I can tell you what I did, or doing, that's a process, is, so I want to move, or helping for me is I'm moving my body. And I am not a morning person. But my mom was really sick, and I had to carve out, because at the time my kids were 2 and 3, very similar. And so I forced myself to get up at 5:45 and do the 6 a.m. class. And I'm motivated by moving my body and music, and there's a portion of there that's dedicated towards like quiet time, kind of. And I would just find myself sobbing, and just, I created a ritual out of that moment. And for me, it forced me to get unstuck, because it was something that I hated to do, which was get up in the morning. It's, it's dark out and nothing, and it was just like, all I have to do is get up and brush my teeth and go downstairs. And I would light a candle, and I would do this class. And for me, it saved me. And it gave me moments where the earpods would run out, and it'd be a class, and you're doing one movement, and it gives your spirit the ability to talk. And I would have these aha moments. So I continue to do it. I'm not perfect, but for me, that worked, is just because it showed me that I can do it. I can carve out time, even though it's not great. But it became such a bucket refill, that I look forward to it now.
That's good. I think too, if you're able to have your husband watch just for a half an hour, can I go on a walk? Can I go on a 2-mile walk? And because I really find a lot with also moving and walking, and I remember, sometimes I would think that I was going to get home first. And then, oh yay, then I'm going to have my time, and then Mike's car would be there. And, oh no, now he's going to want to have a glass of wine. Not going to be able to, but then I just started saying, I really need some time to myself. I've been busy all day. I mean, this is even when the kids were grown up, Can I just go on a walk for half an hour, and then I'll sit here with you? And so I think sometimes also just telling your partner you really need it. And they need it too, And so sometimes I think that's, it's especially when you're in the throes of all of you guys that have young kids, it's just, there's no time for yourself at that point, And so it's hard, but you will get through it, and then you'll have plenty of time like I do to sit here worrying about things. And how stuck I am, and I have nothing to be stuck about now. So what other questions does anybody have? I can't remember if I had any. Oh, one other thing, and then I know we're almost at time, because I wanted to give people a chance to take one photo and then just mix around and get everybody out of here, because I know it's Friday afternoon. But I think one of the things I'm also really interested in is building a network. I have a really great network. When I came here to Portland, I didn't know I knew my husband that I was dating and one other friend from Notre Dame. And I saw one time Pete on the street, and we started waving. Oh my God! And we knew one person in Portland, and he practically lived with us. It was like a three's company, you know.
So 2 guys and 1 girl.
Yeah, exactly. And he was getting a lamp even, and he put his lamp down. Just Lori, because we didn't know anybody. And now I have such an amazing circle here. Like I just cannot believe all the friends I've made, and I draw a lot of strength from that. And I also I love people too. I'm very out there with that. So, but people have really helped me, and I think I've seen some people here that I've worked with for a long time, and that that have helped my family out, and so I just think building a network really help you, and when you need things, or even when you don't, or even just giving back to someone else. So I was just wondering, your advice for that, and maybe some other folks' advice in the room.
Yeah. Well, I love to network too. Yeah. I think it's fun. But I just came across this metaphor that I really like, and it's dig the well before you're thirsty. And that has just really hit me. And I think that that's such a good example of what we're here to do. And I think sometimes we can be so transactional. So I need a job, or I need whatever it might be. And that's when you reach out to people. But really the importance of connecting all the time and having a spirit of generosity. I don't know if I'm a big Adam Grant fan, and his book Give and Take, and it's such great evidence about the importance of being generous. And then it is much easier when you do have that need to really connect and to ask for that advice. And sometimes I have people say, well, I'm an introvert, I don't want to do that. I think introverts have the power of the one-on-one connection. So sometimes a group like this might be really intimidating for an introvert, but the introvert, if you know introverts, I don't know if some of you are or not, because you were brave and you came today, but having that one-on-one time, I think is powerful, because I think introverts know how to ask those questions. David Brooks just came out with a book, actually, if you read my newsletter, I mentioned it, but how people want to be seen and heard so desperately. And I think introverts have that gift. My husband's an introvert, and I love watching him talk to people. And they feel so seen and heard by him. We're very different that way, so it's fun to see him do that. He has a little bit of magic that way.
Oh, look at you. We're getting all the close.
We're tag, we're even.
That's good.
I was going to say a couple things about being stuck. That stuck can sometimes just it can feel lonely too.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not you're just stuck, it's just like you kind of feel alone. And so one of the things I've done over the past few years is I make a list of things that like literally sit down and like make a list of like what makes me happy. You know, like avocados. Certain kind of interactions, whatever. And then keep that list somewhere that like when you're stuck or when you're feeling, kind of go back to it and be like, oh, I haven't taken a dance class in a long time.
Yeah.
And then I've had a journey over the past couple of years, so I started keeping a visual board of like fun things we did. So it was like, and you'd put up there like a ticket to a play or like something from a show, instead of just like going to the experience and experiencing it. It was sort of like, keep a little board, a little joy board that like you can go back and look at it and say, oh, that's so fun, I would go do that again. So those were some helpful other things, so ways to get unstuck.
That's great. Thank you.
Good. Anybody else have any feedback on networking, or and I'm thinking of Kelly?
I was just gonna say I've learned, I would say, in the past 3 or 4 years, the power of vulnerability. And I think for me as a person that always feels like they have to have it together, or like have all of the spinning plates, I've definitely found that particularly with female networking, like it's scary to have vulnerability, but it's actually where I find my deepest connections. And you always find yourself kind of questioning, is it too much? Like, did I share too much? But I think I've released some of that as I continue to grow, and we're not perfect.
That's right.
And not perfect looks different for everybody, but having the courage to own that, I think, is special.
Yeah, it's very wise.
I mean, we're so hard on ourselves, right? After Mike died, we had it was probably the next year, because he died in 2020, it was still the heat of COVID. So the next year, we had these sheets where they had everybody's picture and they had everybody go up and write about somebody. And usually for me, they'd be like optimistic, outgoing, can do, whatever. Everyone shows vulnerability. Oh no, I don't want to be that girl. So did a lot of crying at the office, kind of thing. And so anyway, but that was what just reminded me of. Then I was like, okay, I got to pivot back to old Lori. But maybe that was good to show that side, because it was something that nobody had really seen before, and I didn't realize I was doing that either. So, and I think I'm looking around the room to a lot of friends that have been there for me, and I think having a good friend that you can talk to, that has your back and will not judge, but will listen and maybe ask questions rather than tell you what to do, is another way to feel like, okay, I'm not the only one dealing with this. So, yeah, Amy.
I kind of invoke my inner grandma. Like, I feel like a lot of times, which my inner grandma is like, someone who clips newspaper articles and sends them to you. I thought of you. And so I think that like so many times, I don't know when I started doing this, a long time ago now, I think about somebody when I saw something in the news, or just like they had mentioned that they liked whatever, and then I would see that thing and I would think about them in that moment. But then at some point I thought, I'm just going to tell them I'm thinking about them, or clip something if it's like even just a text or whatever. And I probably started doing it in college, honestly. And I've just done that, and I think we think about people often ourselves, and I've noticed that is something that people really respond well to, and it's sort of like a networking thing. And I do it with people even professionally that, we were in a meeting and they shared they like beliefs or something, and then if there's something that comes up in my world, I'll just kind of send them that, and it's just neat to, I think, feeling seen and remembered, and that you're paying attention to who they are feels really validating to people, and is a natural way to sort of network,
I love
for
that.
me, an authentic way.
Yeah, it's a beautiful practice. And sometimes I like to reframe the word networking because it does have a bad connotation to it. And just think about it as connecting and building relationships and friendships, and because it does have kind of some people grimace towards it. Yeah.
Tracy, were you going to say something?
So, is anybody an Instagram person? I love Instagram. I give myself a 20-minute Instagram vacation every night. 20 minutes, that's what I limit myself, otherwise it's a deep, dark hole. But I saw on Instagram, so it must be true, that Simon Sinek got a text from a friend, a woman, who said, "Do you have a minute?" And the woman, and you've seen this?
Yeah.
And he said, I don't know what he said, didn't say anything. Anyway, it turns out it was Maria Shriver. And he found out later that she was having a really hard time. And he said, "Why didn't you tell me?" And she said, "I did tell you. I said, do you have a minute?" He said, "Well, that's like what you always say, do you have a minute?" And so she said, they decided to come up with this phrase that they would say, "Do you have 8 minutes?" And if they said, "Do you have 8 minutes?" that meant that I need you, and I need you to call me. So I think we need to do that, because, I look at you all and everybody looks like they have it together. You look good, you're well dressed, you're connecting, and we don't know what's going on in people's
No,
lives.
we don't.
So to be able to say, that could be something you do with a good friend or a group of friends.
That's
like
nice.
that.
Yeah.
Now that you said it, it's going to be on all.
Siri has picked it up on everybody's phone.
Nimi, you want to say something?
Yeah, I can say, I went through a tough time, probably about starting 5 years ago, went through a super rough divorce, and ended up just being the sole parent to our daughter, and got her through middle school and high school, and now she's off at college.
At Harvard.
But during that period, I went through that part of like trying to figure out who I was, like with, not being just wife and mom. And so I did a lot of therapy, but made a lot of like conscious decisions, I decided like, okay, you know what? I've always wanted to play guitar. I'm gonna take guitar lessons. I've always wanted to dance. I danced in a dance troupe, and I also just was like, my friend group, you know, people couldn't relate to what I was going through at that time. So I was like, I need to find new friendships. So I decided like, I'm gonna make a plan to go out once a week with somebody and like join a bar class to meet people. And I met a friend that like, she is like my rock right now, you know, and just have really kind of put those things into practice. Like they're part of my like weekly like ritual every time. And I have like so much joy in my life now from those things. But now I'm at the part where I'm trying to figure out, now that my kids are off to college, like, what am I going to do with my career? What do I do for me? Like, what sparks my, like, passion and creativity? So I've been feeling stuck a bit, too, to how to get to that place, to figure out what is next. But one of the things I've noticed in the last couple of months is, in my work, most of my clients are all over the country. They're rarely local. And I work from home, so it's very isolating, you know. And I'm sure a lot of people went through that, like working from home for during COVID. But I've worked from home for myself for 20 years. But I have found like I've had some clients recently in the last few months that have been local, and I'm like, I'm really enjoying like meeting people and being in tune with the arts community, the film community here, and so I'm starting that process to open my mind that like
But you're
connections with
intentional.
real people.
You're intentional
Yeah.
about doing it, yeah.
Yeah.
And I have to just tell everybody that I hired Nimi when she was, 22? And she was working at Pier, I was working at OPV, she was working at Pier 1. And down the street from OPV, and she came down and I was like, this is a smart girl. And hired her, and then she, like 5 years later, started her own company and has been raising her daughter. And I mean, it's self-made, and I just am so proud of you.
Oh my gosh, but I was thinking of you as you were my mentor then. I remember sitting in that interview and being like, I really want to work here. I'm not going to do this job. Or like, that's not what I wanted to do. And you like totally pushed me and advocated for me and had my back all the time. And so I really like, yeah, I attribute you that like,
No.
yeah, it's really right now.
Thank you. But I almost cried when I saw her. I haven't seen her in many years, so I was so happy she came today. So I think we're probably at the end of our time. Linda, is there anything you want to say to kind of wrap this up?
Well, one thing that I heard a few people say, and I'm really feeling like this is something for people to think about, is this notion of creativity. I think it's something that we really shut down as we become adults, and I'm finding it, especially with my clients, to help them tap into that creativity, to open up something new in you, to help you get unstuck. So I hope you heard that theme from a few people here. I think that there's a real linchpin to kind of unlock, what could that be? What are you always saying? No, I can't do that. No, I can't do that. But it could really open up something really exciting in you.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Linda.
Yeah.
For being our first. Yeah. Taking a risk. And I thank all of you guys. I mean, you all mean a lot to me. Some of you I know much better than others, but a lot of you have been really in my life more recently. I think that's another thing. Open yourself up to new friendships as you age, even when you're an old lady like me. It's amazing. The people that can come into your life, though, at a later stage, and that really mean a lot and that are there for you. So I would say that is really important, and I hope that this group might continue to grow. So I think I've got 3 more speakers for this year. Catherine is going to be one of them. Catherine, yeah, and who I met at UP when she was working at, I think, HP then. So she's going to be talking. Kim Malik, who is doing the Clean Up Portland, who started Salt and Straw, and then Nora Shields, who started Bridal Bliss. So I have you guys as the lineup coming forward. But I'd love your feedback. Not right now, but just.
Or advice.
No, and I really want, do we want to keep this small? Do we want to grow it? I want it to be something that's really affordable. One of the things that I am really interested in is people that don't have a big connection, that don't have a big group. I knew no one when I came here. I want people that know no one to feel like they can find somebody that will support them. And so just thinking about that. But just thank you. Please stay. I have wine too, if anybody wants to have a glass of wine with us. And if we could take maybe a photo. But yeah, anybody have anything else to say at the end? Thank you. No?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you guys so much. Yeah.